What is happening, people? My name's Steven and I'm a corporate professional working in the financial services industry. Guys, yo, this is the problem about living at home. Like, everyone just be disturbing you. What is happening, people? My name's Steven and I'm a corporate professional working in the financial services industry, and welcome back to my channel where we talk corporate careers, personal finance and all things in between. Before we get into the video, please smash the like button and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Let's get to 500 subs. Please, people. It's really not what it looks like. It's not like I'm literally giving you guys a 26-day later update on the UK budget. You know, like that is not exactly what I'm doing. But what is happening, people? Editing team here real quick. In my defense, guys, tomorrow is when, like, you know, the new tax year, we enter the new tax year, and really and truly that's when all the changes that I discuss in this video kind of come into effect. So if anything, I kind of just waited for the whole UK budget to marinate and then give you guys my update. Just saying. But anyway, in this video I'll be breaking down a few key updates from the UK budget that was announced earlier this month from our favourite conservative, the one and only man like Rishi. When we look at the budget announcement, it can be broken down into 5 succinct categories. We have the COVID-19 related updates, then we have updates talking about jobs basically, then we have like public finances, and which is like, you know, revolving around like taxation, and then we have like investments related updates, and then lastly, third party country. I'll be focusing more on the categories that are relevant to this channel because, with all due respect, I could care less about Scotland, Ireland and Wales and whatever they're doing. So yeah. Coronavirus! So when we look at the category of COVID-19, a lot of the updates were centered around the vaccine, you know, the feared serum of every Gen Z and millennial. Like, I'm certain people would rather go to prison or die than take this vaccine. I know that's right. The COVID-19 related updates was mainly centered around, you know, the vaccination trials, the continued rollout of the vaccine, research into creating a library of vaccines against different COVID variants, because we know like COVID is literally not trying to stop anytime soon. Like, that shit is literally mutating day in, day out. And lastly, the extension of £500 payments for, you know, the test and trace support system. So from this update, I'd like to draw you guys' attention to two things that I found remotely interesting, and maybe you guys might find interesting too. So firstly, if we look at the funding that's been allocated towards the research and the development of the COVID-19, you know, vaccination program and so on and so forth, 28 million has been allocated to support clinical trials, and then another 22 million has been allocated to test various different combinations of COVID-19 vaccines. Now, I just don't really follow, and I don't really get that, because I would have thought that as part of the clinical trials, the testing of different vaccine combinations would come into scope of that. Now, obviously, I'm not really a biologist. I don't have insight into how like clinical trials work. If you look at it on face value, it seems like man like Rishi has basically allocated money twice towards the same thing. But, you know, again, I'm probably wrong. And if there are any medheads that watch my video, maybe you could just like educate me in the comment section and let me know how this whole thing works. On a more related note to this channel, the £500 test and trace payment basically means that if you're incapacitated to work due to, you know, various COVID related situations, you're able to basically claim £500 off the bat. Now, you know, the key word in that is the fact that you need to meet a certain criteria. However, I still think that's pretty decent. Like, I never actually knew that, you know, that test and trace support payment system like existed before, and I'm pretty sure like the criteria is like pretty extensive. I know some people may say that
£500 for 2 weeks off work does not really add up,
but you know, it's a support related payment. Enough about COVID. Let's move on to the more job related updates and talk a bit more about COVID. The furlough scheme has been extended to September 2021. Yay! Is that a good thing? I know some people are skeptical about the extension of the furlough scheme to September, seeing as we're supposed to be, you know, coming out of lockdown in June. So it's kind of like, you know, something's not adding up, like, you know. However, the government's rationale for extending the furlough beyond another 3 months, basically post the D-Day, which is like 21st of June, is to support certain sectors. They may not be quick to, like, you know, bounce back or recover from COVID, like, you know, than other sectors. So I guess like that would make sense to a certain extent. But, you know, guys, I already expressed my thoughts and views on what I think about the furlough scheme. This is very harsh, but if you're furloughed, you're basically unemployed. Like, you know, just looking at how the scheme was essentially designed, it's not designed to keep you employed. And with that being said, I would advise looking for another job. But I understand that, you know, that's easier said than done. But, you know, this is a good segue to introduce a new career consultation service that I'll be providing through Beyond Education, the kind sponsors of this video. Since I started my career in the corporate world, I've helped a lot of individuals with job searching, CV writing, and overall career advice. However, Beyond Education hit me up like, hey bro, do you want to do this in a formal capacity? And I was like, yeah, why not? So you can now book me via the Calendly link in the description, which is quick and easy to do. You simply click the link, click the date and time that works for you, and yeah, just turn up on the day. I've held a few sessions since announcing, this new career consultation service in the last week, and the feedback has been great. However, spaces are really being booked up quick, so be sure to book and don't miss out, basically. The most talked about thing that I've seen a lot from Rishi's update is the emergence of the 5% deposit to secure a mortgage. Yay. Anyways, quick disclaimer, I'm not a property guy, but let's actually assess what this 5% mortgages scheme actually means. So firstly, I think there's a misconception that this scheme has been devised solely for the purpose of helping individuals get on the housing market quicker. And to a certain extent, yes. However, this scheme is more about encouraging lenders to actually give out, 95% of the house value in loans, because the government has basically said like, hey bro, if these people don't pay the mortgage payments, don't worry, we got you. Now, with that being said, the lender is still going to carry out their due diligence and assess if, the person they're actually giving the loans out to can actually afford it. And if they feel like you can't afford it, they could really care less about your 5% deposit. So in essence, what I'm trying to say is that just because the government have said they're introducing this 5% deposit does not necessarily mean that you're guaranteed a mortgage with just 5% deposit. There is the good and the bad, basically, and it's not you really need to look at things in a lot more depth before you start to draw conclusions. For argument's sake, let's actually look at it objectively from a pros and cons perspective. So on one hand, on the pro side of things, you only need 5%, and you're likely to essentially get a deposit. So if you're looking at a house of 110k to 150k, saving 7,500 if you have stable income is relatively achievable. And also a few notable banks have actually signed up to participate in the scheme. So if we scrap my speculation to the side, it seems this thing is actually legit and you can actually get on the property ladder quicker. If we look at the cons, basically, you would be in a lot more debt because you would essentially have to borrow a lot more money from these lenders. According to Rich Dad Poor Dad, it's not that deep in the grand scheme of things, getting in a lot of debt. Your mortgage repayments are likely to be higher than average. There's also a risk of negative equity if the property of the prices go down. So i.e. this is when you owe more money on the mortgage than what the property is actually worth. And there's actually speculation that the government introducing such a scheme is likely to imply that house prices are going to go down. But I just honestly think that's cap. House prices may go down in the interim, but in the long run, property and land has been such a tangible asset that's likely to just go up forever. The final thing that I would say on the mortgage stuff is that overall, I don't really see the cons as an actual disadvantage. I just see it more as an opportunity cost. If you think about it, it's more about, an opportunity cost for wanting to get on the ladder quicker. So really and truly, it's your call. And one thing that I actually forgot to mention as well is that the scheme lasts till December 2022. But, knowing the UK government, they're probably going to backtrack and probably extend it. So we could really ride this bird till the UK is carbon neutral. A few honorable mentions includes, schemes and incentives to increase apprenticeship hires, additional funding for higher quality work placements and traineeships, which I guess are relevant to this channel to a certain extent because I'm an advocate for more jobs and just corporate careers and so on and so forth. So yeah, I would say you guys just check it out, gov.uk. It really outlines everything and all the updates essentially, and there are a lot of websites which tell you what these mean in a lot more detail as well. Income tax. So the income tax personal allowance. So they'll be maintaining the income tax personal allowance and higher rate threshold from April 2022 to 2026. Okay. So what does this actually mean? Every legal working individual that pays taxes basically has a tax-free allowance of £12,500 at the moment, meaning that they get taxed on anything else that they earn above that figure. Now, I believe the plan is actually to increase this allowance to £12,570 by the 6th of April, which I think is by the 6th of April, which will be in 2 weeks. And then essentially what they're looking to do is when they make that increase, they're actually going to freeze it for 4 years. And I was thinking to myself, why exactly are they going to freeze this? Because history shows us that usually the personal allowance always increases if not like, you know, year on year. So what they're trying to do essentially is that freezing the personal allowance would bring more people into the scope of paying taxes, because if you think about it, think of how many people are going to out earn 12,570 in the coming years. I mean, currently the average salary for a part-time worker in the UK is just above 13k. So like there is actually a strong argument to say there are a lot of people that are out earning that figure at the moment. And according to the ONS, as of January, the total pay increase in terms of working is growing faster than the rate of inflation. So the government not increasing, you know, the personal allowance in parallel with all these metrics going up brings more people to get caught within the tax bracket basically. And the whole incentive behind this is that Rishi Sunak is basically saying that bring more people into paying more tax basically as a corrective action for the UK's underlying debt. Long story short, they're trying to tax more people so that they can make money so the government can cover its debt. A few honourable mentions from the taxation side of things includes updates on inheritance tax thresholds, personal allowances and capital gains tax exemptions. But you know, I don't have any fuck off assets that I'm selling anytime soon, nor do I have any being given to me as well. And I really just about understood like, you know, my work pension contributions the other day. So I'm not really going to be analysing that aspect of things in much detail. But again, you can look at it on the gov.uk website and really understand like what it means for you. So having assessed the budget, I don't really feel like the rest is really relevant to this channel. So I'm gonna wrap it up here, peeps. This video is really for selfish reasons. It's just mainly because I kind of want to deviate into this kind of informative commercial awareness update on my channel from time to time. So like with that being said, like you can kind of take this one as a practice run, and you guys can maybe give me feedback in the comments below on, you know, like these kind of videos, and if you like it and if you want to see more of it moving forward and so on and so forth. So this is more for me than it is for you guys, but in the long run it will be for you guys more than it is for me, if that makes sense. So if you got to the end of this video and you liked it, type up corporate in the comment section. If you guys like this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you don't miss a thing. Let us get to 500 subs, people, and yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.